Hello and welcome to Lost Tribes Cafe, where we talk about the lost tribes of Israel. Last time on Lost Tribes Cafe, I mentioned how I had opportunities to just open the good book with many Muslims, with Kyrgyz, and show them their own culture in a book that they'd been taught to hate, that it was actually forbidden for them to read. And there's many exciting stories I can share about that. I wanted to share one of the stories that I often shared with Kyrgyz. That was fascinating. Again, I mentioned this last time, but let me go more in depth this time. It comes from Genesis 18. Kyrgyz have a God guest custom where they believe God could come walking into their camp at any time. And in Genesis 18, the Lord and two angels are walking by Abraham, and Abraham sees them and he says, come to me. And the place where Abraham actually is called Mamre, and the Kyrgyz have a holy place in their epic called Mamir. So there's a similarity there, but also with the God guest, the Kyrgyz believe God might be coming walking into your tent. Obviously, Abraham saw the Lord, bowed down before him, welcomed him to the camp. And in Western theology, whether you're Jewish or Christian, we don't really have a place where we believe God's going to come walking by our house or by our tent or into our neighborhood. But this was a tradition. This was a tradition that the Kyrgyz hold to this day. So they call it the God guest, Kudai Konok. And they're extremely, Kyrgyz are amazingly hospitable, and one of the reasons is because they believe one of you might be the wanderer, the Khidr, who I'll talk about in the future, or the Lord God. So it says Abraham was sitting at the tree at Mamre, at the entrance of his tent, and again, Kyrgyz will often eat right outside the yurt, right in front of the yurt. It's a place where the Levites were often commanded to eat the sacrifices that were offered, a place where the Kyrgyz often eat, right in front of the yurt and outside. Okay, let me jump down. So Abraham has them sit down, says, just be here for a sec. I'm going to run in and get some food for you. What he ends up doing is he ends up going and telling Sarah to bake the bread and the cakes, and going to his servant and saying, kill the fatted calf. And the Kyrgyz also keep a fatted calf ready for guests. Abram had that ready. Kill the calf that's ready for you. And in Kyrgyzstan, this is at least a 2, if not 3 or 4 or 5 hour preparation. I've often been invited to Kyrgyz just like this, and Kyrgyz have me sit down, and then they disappear as they go to prepare the meal. And a lot of times I was sitting in a room for 2 hours before anything would come. And sometimes I was even alone, and people would come in and go out, but I was often left alone while they prepared this huge feast for me. And I believe that's exactly what's happening in this passage. So God and the two angels are probably sitting there sometimes by themselves. Abram also says, please let me bring a little water to wash your feet. So in Kyrgyzstan, they do the same thing, but it's often not the feet that are washed, but the hands. So in Kyrgyzstan, with the climate and all, oftentimes the Kyrgyz will be wearing boots, and then they take their boots off, but they have these thick leather, really cool type of inner boot or sock. So it's often not the feet that get washed in Kyrgyz culture, but the hands. And the pouring ceremony is very similar to the ceremony that Jews often have to this day in some of their holidays and their feasts. Okay, so and then Abraham brings the whole meal to his guests, God and the angels, the Lord, it says, and then the Lord makes a promise, gives a blessing to Abraham. And again, this is really Kyrgyz culture. After eating a meal, you're going to give a blessing to the one who served you. And the blessing that God gives is that you're going to have a son this time next year with Sarah. And again, that's one of the highest blessings that you can give in Kyrgyz culture also. So in other cultures we might want wealth or something like that, but this was a blessing for a son. And then something that is so funny, and again, this is something that I enjoy sharing with the Kyrgyz, but it says Sarah was listening in the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. And it's absolutely amazing how a lot of times there might be a male-to-male conversation taking place in a Kyrgyz home or in a yurt, but the women, whether they're in the room or not, are paying attention to the conversation more than anyone realizes. And I point this out when I share with Kyrgyz, and the Kyrgyz always laugh because they know it. Their women are listening to conversations that are taking place all the time. Just a cute little part of this dynamic that goes on. And then Sarah makes the comment, can I really give birth when I'm old? And the Kyrgyz also have a legend about their hero Manas being born when his mother was old and kind of beyond years, and when nobody expected her to have children. So again, this is just one little short section. The Kyrgyz love it. Again, oftentimes the conversation starts with Kyrgyz saying, that book's, it's not our book, it's a foreign book. They won't say outright that they're forbidden to read it, but oftentimes we know that that's the background. They're told from their villages and their religious leaders not to read it. So anyway, after these type of conversations, after showing them and letting them read the passage themselves from the book that they're told not to read, they're enamored. It's actually, it's really fun to see how much of their culture is written in here. Okay, again, Richard Hewitt with Lost Tribes Cafe. Just wanted to share that little tidbit with you. Blessings to you all. Bye.